Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Wow, what a triumphant tune.
We are back to our old reliable 3-game winning streak, guys. You know, this is game 4 is usually where things fall apart, but we are back on a 3-game winning streak. But this kind of seems a little bit different this time, right?
Doesn't it? Instead of just barely getting those 3 wins, especially in the last 2, like that first run, this was a lot more. That looked like a serious domination there. They did well.
You know what, guys? If you look at the Sharks, as much as that sucked the other night, they had a pretty decent week, San Jose.
Well,
so I feel like we're the only ones.
Bobby and I had a long talk yesterday on the show, and that was actually brought up, and exact same thing. I said, as far as that Saturday game against the Sharks, we were all pissed, and we were so fed up and just done with that team. And then you saw what the Sharks did the rest of that week, and you realize, holy shit, Sharks are not a bad team. And let me tell you something about the Sharks. I don't know if you guys watched that Detroit game.
Some of it.
And I
did see that huge comeback.
Awesome game. But the Sharks, they don't have any players, right? They're a young team. They don't have a ton of money that they're spending. They don't have big names. But these guys, when they win, like against us, against the Islanders, and against Detroit, these guys work their asses off, man.
Yes, they're a hard-working team.
They're puck hounds. They're in the right position. They don't give you an inch, man, and they take it. And I'm like, man, this is going to be, if they can continue that work ethic, I know they're not going to make the playoffs, but they're going to be that team that everyone says, watch out for next year. Kind of like, we were saying about Buffalo and Ottawa and Detroit.
Exactly.
And this year, I think you can say that about San Jose and definitely about Arizona, because I think Arizona is going to make a really strong playoff push.
Don't look like doormats like they have the last couple seasons, complete doormats, but not anymore.
Not too many doormats this year. There really
isn't
too many bad teams. Columbus just can't get that team just has the worst luck in the world.
They just lost
except when they played us.
Yeah, they lost Boom Jenner for, I think, 4 weeks, they said. So he's out for a month with a puck to the face. Before we dive into the hockey, though, I do want to ask a question unhockey related, because we were kind of talking about it a little bit before, and I know I'm going to forget it. So, Tony, you were telling a story about a while ago. You were before pre-cell phones, and you were in Vancouver, and you were going to a plane, and the Colorado Avalanche were waiting for their plane. Like the whole team was just lounging around, sitting on bags and stuff, waiting for their plane. You had said, this is before we had cell phones, so I couldn't take pictures of them or anything like that from afar. Can you guys name the one time in your life when you look back and you're pissed off that you didn't have a cell phone? Is there anything that happened to you that you were like, that was the one that I wish I had a phone handy?
Yeah, I do. You guys remember that girl Danielle I was dating over in Tom's River?
Yeah,
we were up in her mother actually worked at a comedy club in New York City before I was with her. So her mom had we used to go up to New York City, and she worked with Gilbert Godfrey. Godfrey used to call the house and shit like that and leave voice messages and stuff. Club? I don't forget the name of it, but it was it was in New York, because this was before me. But she would tell us these. We would go to New York, and she would tell us these things. We went to this area where this club was at, and I actually saw, this is back when Soul Asylum first came out, and I always dug that first. I always think David Piner is an amazing songwriter. First couple records they did. And Dave Piner and Wyoming Ryder were walking down the street actually together. And this is
So Winona Ryder used to date the Soul Asylum dude.
Yeah, and date this, right? This is Beetlejuice time period. This is
this is Reality Bites time period.
Yeah, a little bit after Beetlejuice, but it's that.
Oh yeah, Beetlejuice. I think she was a child still.
I think David Piner was in Reality Bites, and he did the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, that's right.
So this was that time period though when they were young.
I would say 92, 93?
Yeah, 93, 94, maybe 93.
Let's see when Reality Bites came out. That's kind of a cool story.
But they were walking by and they were just chilling, and I remember somebody to shove had come out. Soul Asylum was pretty they were a
1994.
different kind of band. Yeah, 94 makes
94.
sense. Grave Dancers Union, like that was that time period actually. And I remember back then I didn't even think to myself, oh, I wish I had a cell phone, because you didn't even think that. I wish I had a Polaroid camera, or I wish I had one of those little yellow cameras, whatever the fuck they were.
I had a jet
disposable ones. I remember you being a Soul Asylum fan and always listening to Grave Dancers Union, and I always I liked them, but I was never a fan of them. And then years ago, like pre-kids and shit, me, Dan, our wives, we all went down to West Virginia to go camping for a week, a couple of days, whatever. And my wife and I went to whatever record store, and she bought a couple of CDs. I bought a couple of CDs for the ride, and she bought Black Gold, which was the best of.
That was their big one. Yeah.
Well, no, that was
that was the best of.
Runaway Train was their hit single.
Black Gold is a song off of Grave Dancers Union. But
that's right. Okay, my bad. Yeah,
they named their best of album Black Gold after after the song, and we listened to that album almost on repeat the whole way down to West Virginia. I became a huge Soul Asylum fan. Then when I got home, I bought all a couple of their albums, and I'll get more into the not so greatest of hits. There
is something special.
David
about
Perner's an amazing songwriter. I mean, that guy he's a storyteller. If you look at even the Silver Lining album, and after that, he's still going. The guy is still out there doing it. And I mean, like I said, he's I rank him up with you look at Billy Joel's guy, and I'm talking about songwriter wise, who wrote stories, and he was one of those guys who did that early on too, even,
Yeah. When they came out, they always reminded me of each other was Counting Crows and Soul Asylum. They have something similar. And it's weird because they're really not. Period, I remember. Yeah. They're really, but they're really not all that similar. But for some reason, I don't know, the way they came out or something, they always reminded me of each other. I don't know why.
Lyrically, you can say that. Like you said, they're both, whether or not you like their music, but both bands are storytellers. Both bands' songs are, very more poetic so much than, lyrical, I guess. I don't know if that's making a ton of sense, but I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. We went to see, so we found that Frank Turner was playing the Roseland Ballroom in the city. This is 2-3 years ago. So my wife and I wanted to go. They were opening up. He was opening up for Counting Crows. So we went up, we drive up, we go in, we watch this half an hour opener, and we pack up our shit and leave. I remember the security guy's like, "You're not staying for the Counting Crows?" "No, we came for Frank Turner. We're not staying for the Counting Crows." And we left.
Yeah.
How about you, Dan? Can you think of anybody?
Oh boy, not really. Not too much. I remember once, though, it's a similar story, not quite the same, where the family and I were with my in-laws in New York City, went to a movie theater, take the kids to see, I think, one of the Star Wars sequels or whatever on a big theater in the city. And so my father-in-law is he's in the lobby. We're all in the lobby. He's like, "That's Jonah Hill." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm looking, and it's Jonah Hill. And he's got 2 children with him, maybe I don't know, 8 or 10-year-old, 2 kids, a boy and a girl or something.
Did he gaslight you and make you feel bad about yourself?
I was about to say, I heard he's a tough one, man.
I don't know. I have no idea, but my father-in-law was like, "Oh man." And so he goes he's kind of walking after him. And I'm like, and then Jonah Hill's
looking after Jonah Hill.
Yeah. Who then goes to the bathroom. So my father-in-law, he's about ready to follow him into the bathroom. I'm like, "Hey, Ray, I'm just calling him over. Maybe we don't want to follow this man in the bathroom, dude. What are you doing? Let's snap back to reality." Right. I have no desire to go take a picture of Jonah Hill.
He has a reputation.
I'm not going to follow him in the bathroom. I didn't know that.
I think him and Kevin James have 2 of the worst reputations, which is crazy.
I mean, I don't really know anything about him. It was just kind of happenstance.
I just know the shit that came out within the last few months about him.
Oh, I didn't hear this. I really didn't. I missed out. What's he up to?
Well, didn't he he was dating his girl, and I get all this shit secondhand because I'm not on social media, so I just hear people talk about this stuff. So apparently he was, just what the fuck was it? He was gaslighting his ex-girlfriend and basically going online and I'm completely butchering this story, but from what I gathered, he'd go online and just start really making her feel terrible about herself and posting this negative stuff about her and stuff and go on about how he is he has it all figured out, and he's the man.
So he basically looked like an asshole. He was treating this girl badly, and it somehow got out. So we know.
Yeah, well, it was all public. Like he tweeted it all, and
he did it publicly to begin with. Publicly, he's like, guys, you know who's an asshole, and he started bringing this girl out into the public.
It's like this weird morality thing with him where he just thinks he is better than everybody else and
I didn't
stuff.
know
so
that.
I have a little bit of it.
Well, I should have sent my father-in-law after him in the bathroom after all.
Then you should have.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I do have only one that I can really think of right now. This was, I would say again, maybe 20 something years ago. My wife got tickets for she and I to go see Dave Matthews and Timmy Reynolds acoustic at Radio City Music Hall. So we went to the show. We had these awesome seats, and as we were leaving, I got up, and now everybody's converging out into the aisle, and I look, and about 2 rows behind us was Mike Gordon, the bass player for Phish, and his girlfriend. And he was standing right there, and it's so much like we bumped into each other, and my wife and his girlfriend were like having a conversation because they were going backstage to hang out with them. So, and we were trying to get out, so we kind of like were like, all right, we'll help you get over there, and so we like moved some people, whatever. And he was like super quiet, like he didn't say anything, like nobody recognized him but me. That's the one time I wish I had a phone, because I totally would have been like, bud, we're getting a picture together, like no doubt. I like left there. I remember calling my buddy who is also a huge Phish fan, and when I got home, and he was so jealous.
Right.
Yeah, so that was probably the only time.
Have you guys ever met anybody who's a total dick, who's just like a celebrity? Have you guys ever like just met someone who just came on, like you just knew that this
apparently
was just
Jonah Hill, but I didn't really meet him, so I guess I can't count.
Could have pissed next to him if you wanted to be aggressive.
I had the opportunity and somehow missed out on it. Yeah,
I never met anybody. I don't like meeting celebrities. I don't. I'm not.
It seems like a bad idea. In fact, the more you kind of dig them, the more I think you probably shouldn't try to meet them. Because then, you have a bad experience. You'd be like, I used to like their work, but now I can't get that memory in my head that this guy was an asshole,
And I look at it this way, too. Like my own personality, right? I think pretty much everybody's an asshole. So it's only a matter of time until, like, if I met enough of them, most of them would just jade me to the point that I would probably become a hermit and sit in my closet and just have zero hope for anybody.
Plus,
like, these
what are you going to say to these
people?
They're
all assholes. That's the other thing.
Like, I feel like I'm going to be Chris Farley. Like, that movie you made? I thought it was great,
Exactly.
And I have nothing to say. God. I mean, if there was a circumstance, it'd be interesting that you had a conversation with a stranger where it actually had a context. And by the way, a stranger turned out to be so-and-so that the person you're telling the story to could relate to.
Right.
But like, they just go up to somebody and be like, I know you and I like your work. Like, so what? Like, it's weird,
It is weird. But didn't Bobby do something like that with Bam Margera? Do you remember this?
What? I did not know this.
Or Bam. We do our next.
I don't remember this. I forget so much shit.
We gotta ask him. I think he's still, like, because he lives in the same town as him, and I guess they were at a bar somewhere, and like Bobby just went up to him and was just like something like I know I'm probably not right, but something along the lines of you used to be a lot funnier, like that kind of thing.
Like really? Oh, that's great. It's like I thought he would have said something like, why don't you go staple your nuts to the seat or something like that,
He had some rough times, though, Mr.
This was all pre his rough time.
Yeah, I think I heard that he's in a bad place. I don't know.
I will tell you, though, it is awful to deal with people. You don't want to meet people you think are cool or that you like. I know just for myself.
What's your bad experience?
Musicians, man. There's a bunch of them. Musicians,
Name one.
Dave Mustaine. Okay, I'm going to name one who I'm going to. I have two things.
Please don't say Count.
He kind of Count's cool.
All right, great.
No, I'm Dave Mustaine. Actually, and I met him twice. So he kind of made up for it to say, you're right, because I said to him, so twice I had dealt with him. And actually, the first time he was kind of a jerk. Second time he made up for it. First time I met him in a convention called NAMM in Los Angeles.
You telling me like Metallica? And
so no. So I was actually always a Megadeth guy over Metallica any day. But I was like, so I met him at NAMM when I was working for this magazine, and he's sitting there, It's called NAMM. It's like the big music conference in Los Angeles.
They were in the shit
real
together.
big one. Like everybody's there,
Charlie.
No, it's like one of the biggest music conferences in the world. So I went there, and Dave was there, and he was doing this thing, and it's only industry people. It's like magazines, press, guitar companies. But he does these meet and greets with these people. Yeah, so I was working for this magazine at the time called Rivet Rag. We did this print magazine for like 5 years out of Tampa, and so I'm there. It's my third time there. And Dave's sitting there, and I was a big Megadeth fan. Like, I was like, I loved Megadeth growing up. Like, I thought, like, some of their older shit was killer. Always Megadeth over Metallica. And Dave's sitting there, and I said to him, I was like, hey, man, I was a big fan of yours growing up. And if you guys know Dave, he has this thing he does where he has this smirk, like this obnoxious smirk. He just looks at me and goes, you're not the only kid. That's all he said to me. And I remember walking away, and I was like, huh. I was like, wow. So I seen him probably 12 years later in Orlando. And I saw Metallica that same week, actually. So I went up to him and I was like, and this is the time period where this guy was like, I don't really want to talk. I'm not big on bashing Metallica anymore. So I walk up to him and he's doing this thing where if you buy the CD, you can meet him. That's how, this is when downloads were really big and you couldn't sell CDs very well. So this was part of the gimmick. So I go up to him this time, and so I was just a fan this time. I wasn't working for a magazine, and I was like, I know you hate to hear this, man. I go, but you guys blow away Metallica, and I just saw Metallica this week. He looks at me and goes, I fucking love to hear that. So it was kind of a 50-50, but when I first met him, I got the obnoxious Dave Mustaine that you heard about.
Let me take Dave Mustaine's side for a second. Do you think he could have been slightly insulted with you saying, I used to be a big fan, or I used to listen to you?
Then I started listening to Metallica.
Put it like that. I don't know if I exactly put it like that, but maybe. And I was never like, I know Bobby was the big Metallica guy. I was always Megadeth over Metallica, but
maybe it's the kind of event too, because like you were part of the media in the first one. Maybe he's got bad taste in his mouth from that, and then also you paid him the second
talking
time.
To people.
And you also didn't pay him.
You did.
But musicians, man,
the second time.
Yeah, musicians.
Second time, he's like, why don't you come back online and say that to me again?
Yeah,
exactly.
Why don't you go buy another CD and tell me how much
that's right.
better I would have been as the lead singer of Metallica.
But he would, but musicians were always the worst. Even like when I booked shows for a while, and you would book these bands that you like, and just the writers and dealing with their requests, you'd be like, you just didn't want to know that part.
Musicians are like people you could tolerate being around. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I can hang
probably
with them.
mostly twats. No doubt.
We've seen Jack White a few times. We like him. I bet he's the most obnoxious person in the world, and he's very cool. He's into a lot of cool things. But I don't think I could fucking hang with the dude. Like I don't think we get on my nerves. I don't know.
You know what's sad, Dan? I didn't get into them. Like I do like Jack White, and I didn't get into them until probably a couple of years ago. Whenever some things get big, like we talk about this sometimes on this show, when a movie gets big, or sometimes I avoid watching it. Everyone's like, you got to watch this. I'm like, okay. For some reason, I don't watch it. That band was another one where I was like, I didn't listen. And then one day, I don't know what happened, I started listening to some of the records, and I was like, well, this is pretty cool shit.
Actually funny you said that. Never, ever, ever was I a White Stripes or a Jack White fan. And right around the same time, about 2 years ago, Dan's wife texted me a link of them on Saturday Night Live, Jack White on Saturday Night Live.
That was great performance.
And I watched it, and it blew me the hell away. And then I started diving into all White Stripes and Jack White stuff. And
I didn't really care for some of the White Stripes right away. I kind of made notice of him more with Raconteurs, but I wasn't even a huge fan then. But I don't know.
But you could picture him being like that.
Yeah, he's like he's kind of like that Luddite kind of guy that's probably just a little like I think the deal is with him, like he doesn't have a phone. He's like one of those guys. Like,
he's like you guys doesn't have a phone.
I think of course people say this.
Text him.
Right, you can't text him because he wants to tell you that his analog life is better. So I guess I have to call him on a landline. I don't know
all the time, right?
I mean,
you can't be friends with a person like this.
No, not these days. You can't be.
I don't know. I don't know how it works. I think you can if you're really rich, because then you do have a phone. You just have somebody else hold it for you. I think that's what the story really is. He's just like, I live without this phone on me. And it's great that he's not wasting time in like social media like most of us today. But he also has somebody let him know if he's got a fucking important call. Like, let's face it, you literally can't live without a phone.
You know who I would love to meet? And I think would be cool? This guy right here. Snoop Dogg would be cool.
He quit smoking weed. Do you believe that? I don't.
Did he really?
He said that is what he says. He says he quit smoking weed.
I think he was joking. He said a lot of jokes.
I think
he
was high when he said that.
He must have been very high when he said that.
Dan, you talk about Jack White. Do you think he's one of those guys that, like, I know we got to get to hockey, but you think about like David Lee Roth used to do this M&M thing. And he would be like, no, like, I think it was like only green M&Ms, right? And the reason he would do this,
like Crazy Riders on there,
riders. But the reason he would do this is actually what I found out was to see if they were paying attention to the rider. Not that he really had to have this, but this guy was such a I guess diva,
egomaniac.
You want to call them, egomaniac. That I could picture Jack White being like that. As much as I like his music, I could picture him being like the guy like, don't like. Actually, we had a guy on our other podcast saying he dealt with, who was it? He used to do security for Diana Ross over in Atlantic City. He was one of the major security guys in Atlantic City for years, right? Worked with all the wrestlers, worked with everybody. And he was telling me that there's like Diana Ross and there was a couple other ones. You don't even look at them in the fucking eye as they walk down the hallway. And every
I've
staff
heard
member
that with
knew
certain
this.
actors about
Every staff member knew this.
Fuck that shit.
It was
I would get
fascinating,
tired
man.
so fast. Like you can't look at this person.
Yeah, he was naming
know.
these people. Like he said, Elton John. Actually, said Elton John was actually cool, but he said that like these people had these rules that like, and the staff all knew when these guys walk out, you turn around. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
how do you not have a giant ego when you walk into a room and you look over in a corner and you see a bowl of M&Ms and you're just like, I made some idiot count out 527 green M&Ms exactly and put them in that bowl.
Like, I don't know who I was listening to.
Imagine being the guy how to count them out.
Exactly.
It was like some kind of interview with a band or a musician recently. I wish I remember who it was, but they were saying when they first like got a big gig where they could have a rider, they're like, this is fucking great. So they started putting all kinds of shit in it. And they didn't realize like the place will do that for you, but you got to pay for it. You know, it's not like it's free shit. It's like coming out of your, so they're on tour, but they're not making huge dollars.
Well, you know what it is,
one
Dan,
of the first big things. They're like, fuck, we spent like $800 warming up for this show. That's crazy.
But you get two things. If you're a big
chocolate
band,
fountain and strawberries from the fucking northern part of California,
asking for caviar and bullshit they're like, oh, this is dumb. We're gonna pay for this.
There's actually a way around that. What it is they have two different things they can do. Like when I was booking shows, it was like they can either get paid. What do they call it? Where you get like a certain amount of money to go buy your own food. There's some kind of term for it. Yeah, you could take your own cash and go buy your own food, or as a vendor or the person putting on the show, you can supply with their demands. So sometimes I always found out it was just easier to give each member, I wasn't dealing with Diana Ross. So the metal bands, you give each member $100, it's easier than dealing with their bullshit, basically.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. That was fun, but we should definitely talk a little bit about the game that happened today. There was a hockey game and the Devils beat the Calgary Flames 4-2 in what I thought, and like I said last night's show, Bobby and I talked a lot about the Kraken game, and I thought that the Kraken game at that point was the most important game of the season because
2-1 win. That's awesome.
Because of how they had to play, and that was the classic example of a goalie stealing a game when your best guys were not at the best, and Schmid did it. This was a big game because now Vanecek's back in, and Vanecek played really solid. I mean, I was happy with. I don't know how there wasn't much about this game other than maybe you want to complain about their slow start in the first, but other than that, like defensively, like this was a boring game. This was a workmanlike
game,
which
is what you want when you're on the road.
Yes,
definitely.
That's what you
play
want.
That road game out there out west. And
it was So I mean, this team right now is kind of like I was grateful that when it was 3-2, before we got the empty netter, that Brandon Smith wasn't on the ice to take a penalty and put us down. A man going into the third. He was scratched today, but
a little tenuous at times.
But they not one penalty today. Mm-hmm. They didn't give Vancouver a power play. They were disciplined. They kept everything the outside.
And you go from
hitting, and when they had their
team
opportunities,
defense is night and day.
Yeah, when they had the opportunities, they buried the puck. I thought that the kid Wolf played a really good game in goal for Vancouver. I mean,
what a cool last name too if you're a goalie, right?
I can't wait till they play Detroit and it's Wolf versus Lion.
Yeah, ooh, that's awesome.
Be cool.
We go from like a week ago talking about we got to get a goalie. Where's the goalie coming from? We got to get a goalie. And the whole time I'm thinking it is an entire team problem. Goalie ain't going to solve anything. Our goalies were definitely letting us down to some extent. But you see what they're capable of with good defense, Yeah, we still got question marks. Like, are we going to get that in the playoffs? But there was no way they were ever as bad as some of those games we saw recently. It wasn't just them.
It wasn't just them. I thought it was more, and I still think our goaltending is still the weaker thing of, especially our defense now, I think is growing into itself a little bit. It's finding its game. It's playing much better. Mm-hmm. Like Vanecek came up big today when he had to. There were a couple of saves, especially in the third, that he had to, make really nice saves. And I don't know if a week and a half ago, this dude's mind was right enough. I don't know if he makes those saves, but with everybody playing better behind him, he felt, I don't think Vanecek is at the point right now where he's going to steal us a game, which Schmid did. And I trust Schmid more, but I was really happy to have Vanacek playing the way he did today. Tell him, what are your thoughts?
It's interesting too now because if you think about it, Dawes played really well his first game back in Utica the other night. Now you got this element there. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk the last week. I don't know if you guys have seen it about Fitzgerald looking for another goalie possibly. They believe this is definitely going on. So now you have a little bit, and I don't think that I've never thought that Schmid and Vanacek aren't motivated. I don't think that they show up and go, okay, now we got to do our jobs because this kid. But now, now we've seen some promise. Like you guys said, Akira the other night, I mean, he stole that game. I actually, if it wasn't for him, I think we lost that. We lose that game because it wasn't, it was like kind of he basically won that game for us. Yeah, he won that game for us.
And it's a huge bounce back game for him because, that last outing with the tail end of the back-to-back he got, he didn't look good.
I'm going to throw something
Vanacek tonight, looked great. And goddamn Holtz. You got these guys. Things are forming. I'm starting to I'm hoping that we got our shitty period out of the way. And last year, when we played, if I'm correct, when we were over in Canada last year, we had a hell of a run against all. I think we
ran the
hell
table.
We ran the table on him.
And how much does having a relatively healthy week have to do with this too?
Huge.
It's been so much better to not have some big name go down every game.
Yeah, Nemitz has stepped in. You got Hamilton out, but you got Nemitz coming in.
He's the story of the week, Nemitz. Yeah. He just looks like he belongs to stay. He looks great. Love seeing him.
A lot of fun. But, this is, if we are getting a goalie, if Tom Fitzgerald does decide that that's the route he's going in, and I think he should, trust me, to any Devil fan out there, it is not going to be Akira Schmid. So we are all willing that he's not going to be the one gone, is what I'm saying. It'll be Vanacek that's gone.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant to say. If you look at, and we talked about this on last night's show, take the San Jose game and throw it away, right? Akira Schmid was never supposed to start that game. Nobody plays back-to-backs anymore. That was
if you're going to talk stats, you better throw that game out because that was really tough.
We're throwing it out.
Absolutely.
That game's gone. Gotcha. So then let's take the two games prior, the last two games that Schmid played, right? The Flyer game, 47 shots. He had made 44 saves for a .936 save percentage. And last night, or Friday night rather, or whatever night it was, against the Kraken.
Yeah, that's
last night. Against the Kraken, he made 37 saves on 38 shots for a .974 save percentage.
Yes.
This guy is over 900 now. He's where we kind of need our goalie to be, but I do think that he's still too raw, too young to be the number one. So I do think they have to get somebody in. Look, Bobby said on last night's show, like, am I a terrible Devil fan that I got really excited when I heard the news that Nico Dawes was back? He's like, because I don't trust Vanacek anymore. He is completely out on Vanacek. Now, I thought, again, Vanacek played really good today, but I don't know how much you can trust him.
I honestly think that if we can't get a better upgrade at the right price, it's not all is lost. I think these guys can come in at the right time and play well for us down the stretch. But I'm not saying that's what we do, is that we stop looking for a goalie. Don't worry, they each played a good game. Forget about it, guys. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying it's very possible it might be very, very difficult to get a goalie at the right price.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say that Vanacek is struggling. Let's say that he played great today. So let's just really hope that everything that you think can happen and does happen, because the best case scenario for the Devils are that these two guys can get them to where they need to be, which is a deep playoff run. But that remains to be seen. But again, would you be against if Vanacek struggles in his, let's say, next couple of starts, of bringing Nico Dawes up and giving him a start?
No, not at all. Especially if I see the Devils playing as a team the way they have been playing these last three games. Because if you take the prior 4 or 5 games, most of those games, even some of the wins, to be quite honest, they had some wins where the Devils were giving up actually pretty shitty save percentages even on the win. They, let in, 2 out of 7 or 8 or something on that one win.
Look at the Vancouver game.
Right. Exactly. So, in those situations, the goal stats look horrible. And they are, but it also is not the same team defense we've seen these last 3. They've got that together. So if the team defense stays where it's at, we're not seeing tons of bonehead moves from not just the defenseman, but everybody on the team when it comes to, not giving away crazy good odd man rushes, things like that. There's just those high quality chances just were way too often given away, up until recently. So if we're playing like we are recently, giving a fair number and he's struggling, I think not only do we bring up Dawes right away in the short term, I think then the book is written on Vanacek. But what I'm saying is that both in terms of Vanacek and Schmid, I think that they have definitely not, shown their own, worth so far, but they have not been the main problem on the team. And so, I think if it happens that we cannot land another goalie, I'm not saying all is lost. I think they will have a chance to do like they have been over the last 3 games and consistently play well.
I really hope so. I really do. I mean, if next year going into the next season, and I think most Devil fans, we want it to be Dawes and Schmid, right? Those are the 2 goalies we really want. Those are the guys that are going to kind of be the future, especially Dawes. I am very excited. Again, talked about it last night, but to see where he's progressed and where his game's progressed from when he was up with us 2 years ago to where he is now. Because I don't watch Utica. I don't get comic games, so I don't know how he's doing. I would really love to see him up with the big club. And I know this season, most likely it isn't going to happen. Because I think if they do make a goaltending move, I don't think it's just going to be, let's give Dawes a look, unless he's completely tearing it up in Utica, where it's like you have to take notice. But what do you think, Tone? You eventually, right? Those are the guys.
I think this is the deal. This is my opinion, but I think first of all, I do agree that it's not only our goaltending that has been the flaw. It's definitely been a lot of defensive issues this year, which we expected. I think, and this is looking ahead too much to the playoffs. I know it's still early in the season, but for us to have success in the playoffs, we need to have Vanacek. Dan's muted. I know he was going to say something when I said sex there. Dan, you're on mute. But, Dan doesn't know he's on mute.
It's a good thing.
But for us to have success and sex in the playoffs, we need these 2 guys, unless we make a move. We make a move is totally different. We are not going to have a playoff run with I hate to say this, with Dawes up and Schmid, in my opinion. And nothing against Schmid. I don't know.
Youngest goaltending duo in the league, you mean?
I think it's – I'm not saying it can't happen because we've seen it in the past, some run. But I believe for us to be successful in the playoffs, we have to make a move, or we need one of these guys to take the starter role for the most part and have one of them be a solid backup. I was sticking up for Vanacek all off season, and I still like Vanacek, but I'm not sold on him. Of course not. I'm also not sold on Akira.
You can't be.
No, but I think for us to have, that success when it comes time, we need these guys, or we need to make a move. I don't think you're going to do it with pulling from the minors right now. And I'm not saying that Dawes is not going to be the guy eventually one day, but for us this year, the Rangers are good this year. These teams, like you guys, we were talking about, I don't know if we were talking about it on the show or before the show. You got some damn good teams this year. The bottom floor, they're still good. Some of these teams, they could beat you. And I just feel like, for us to have a good goalie run, we really need to count on these guys. And that's where I worry about both of them.
I want to see Dawes too, but it is tough though, because you're looking at, okay, they're playing a much better clip now. Really, over the last almost 8, we're looking at, winning 3 out of 4 repeatedly, 7 out of 8. That's not, or 6 out of 8 at least, but that's not bad if we keep that clip up. But still, look how much ground we have to cover to solidify a playoff spot. If Schmid and Vanacek continue to play pretty well, if they want to play pretty well for us, how do you pull them out just to get a look at Dawes right now? That's tough.
No. I was only saying, like,
if they're not
against
playing
it, and the only way that you would ever see Dawes this year is, again, barring injury, nobody getting hurt.
Injury,
the only way you would see him would be that if he just completely is playing out of his mind in Utica and Vanacek is completely shitting the bed up here. That's the only way that you would maybe get him. But you're saying, like, a playoff spot, like, no, dude, we're 2 points away from second place in the Metropolitan Division.
I think we're out of 8 point out of the first, right? Which, I mean,
we're 9 points out of the range. The Rangers have lost 2 in a row, and they lost them tonight in extremely abysmal fashion.
Well, we believe that we're going to catch them in the stretch for sure. Well, and this is maybe where it's starting early. It's possible.
9 points is. That's a lot of fucking ground to make up.
It is. So, that's insane amount. It's going to take a long time.
Let's be honest, the Rangers are good this year, so they're not going to.
You're not catching the Rangers unless.
I think it's possible. They could fall apart. You never know. A couple injuries.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you go back to the Ottawa game on Tuesday, right? They lost 6-2. They completely got outplayed, and then tonight against a Washington Capital team that I believe is overperforming, and they are eventually going to start coming down to earth more. They shut them out 4-0. Charlie
Right.
Lindgren played fantastic tonight for the Capitals, and they shut him out. And they have the Los Angeles Kings tomorrow, who apparently,
tough.
they
Yeah.
won again tonight, right? They beat the Islanders.
Kings
so
are
they're
fucking
12
tough.
in a row on the road to start the season.
Pretty
and then
sick.
they're going to go to Madison Square Garden tomorrow. So if the Rangers drop that one, I'm not looking at catching the Rangers. I'm looking at solidifying second and third and being in there comfortably. And if you look at who's ahead of us, for about an hour, 2 hours tonight, we were third place in the Metropolitan Division, tied with Philadelphia. But then Washington won. So we have a game in hand. Washington has a game in hand with on us. So we're both at 29 points. So they sit at the fifth seed. We sit at, the fifth seed. Fourth seed. We sit at the fifth seed. The Flyers have played one more game than us. They have 30 points. They're 1 point ahead of us. The Islanders have played a game. We have a game in hand on them, and they're 2 points ahead of us. And then the Rangers at 9. We both played 25 games. But that's it. If you're looking at getting into the second, third, I don't know what's going to happen with Carolina. I don't know which way this team's going to go this year. They might
similar as the Devils. They don't necessarily seem like they're meeting their expectations exactly.
They're not, and they are healthy right now, and they're not doing it. Their goaltending we kind of knew was suspect going in, and now Freddie Henderson's hurt again. They got their asses kicked the last 2 nights. Calgary beat them a few nights ago. They blew a 2-goal lead in the third period. When's the last time you guys remember Carolina blowing a 2-goal lead in the?
No, definitely showing some
game.
weakness. Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen? I think it's going to end up in the Metropolitan Division. The Rangers number 1, and we will have a rivalry game in our first round, but it's not going to be against the Rangers. It's going to be against the Flyers. I think the Flyers are going to make it. They're a good team, and I think they might take that
I didn't
spot.
expect us to be saying that this year.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. They really surprised me that they're playing this well.
Carolina, they wake up, they're going to make a run, but I don't think the Islanders are going to be able to sustain what they're doing right now, and I don't think Washington's going to be able to sustain it. I'm wrong, but that's how I feel. So I do think
we'll see, but I think those are safe bets. I mean, as good as you can possibly know. Nobody has a crystal ball, but it's they just don't look as good of a team on paper, and I don't think they have much more to give. But I also think the Rangers are going to level off. I mean, they have been playing amazing. I think the coaching's great, but I don't know. I still am not sold on the quality of that team, especially in depth. They've just been playing a good system. It's been covering a lot, but when push comes to shove, I don't know.
See, I think what we're seeing with the Rangers is we're seeing what I thought they were going to be last year a little bit. So I thought they were going to actually, I know they weren't, they made it to the playoffs last year and stuff, but I kind of expected this Ranger performance last year than what we're getting this year from them. And I think they are really tough. And I think injury, but you never know. Hey, injuries can change everything,
But, the thing
Shesterkin.
is Shesterkin looked really human, and he has this season. Jonathan Quick's been playing great. He's been in and out of the lineup.
Yeah, Quick, right? Who thought that? Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to happen.
Smart move. Everyone criticized that first. Yeah.
I was one of them.
I think as far as play goes, the Devils will be able to be playing better hockey than the Rangers for probably most of the rest of the season. I really believe that they're kind of going in different directions right now. And even when they level off, I still think the Devils are the better team. But when it comes to the Rangers, 9 points is tough, man. At this point of the season, it's tough. Unless they completely go on, a couple of 5 or 6 game losing streaks mixed in with, 2 out of 3 or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard
the Devils
to catch
get their
them.
shit together. If you get everybody, because we've been talking about how good they've been playing these last 3 games, but I think we were also bringing up even before the show, imagine Timo Meir comes to life. And they have so much more they can do. Just Timo, for instance, they're still not playing their top game. And that could mean that they just rattle off points like crazy if they get there.
I'm going to just read this out real quick, and you guys can, take what you want from it. Fabian Zetterlund has played 27 games this year. He has 8 goals and 4 assists for 12 points. Timo Meir has played 17 games. He has 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points. So the production is a little bit better for Timo Meir. He's played less games. Fabian Zetterlund makes $1.45 million, and Timo Meir makes $8.9 million. We gave Zetterlund up to get Timo Meir. And again, I'm going to just preface this by saying I do not in any way, shape, or form am calling this a bad trade or say we shouldn't have done it. We signed Timo Meir.
You're just
for
saying
8
you want
years.
Zetterlund back. If we
No.
can somehow
I'm just
get him
saying
back.
that whatever is wrong with Timo Meir needs to get fixed because he has not been the power forward that we traded for. And
we had an injury, but I mean, he's been back for some time and he's been pretty absent. I mean, he had like you were saying the shot, the goal that was basically given up to someone else. So that's something, it's not like he's been 100% absent, but you think you would see more production and
I was
more
going to ask you guys
presence physically. I don't see that physical presence
that's
really that I expected.
Yeah,
is Zetterlund the real deal? You think? I'm starting to. I thought he was good last year, but I didn't know. Like now when I'm watching him, this guy might be a damn good player.
He plays his ass off. He plays super hard. He's all heart, and he's got a lot of skill too. Yeah, I think Fabian Zetterlund's the real deal. I think that San Jose made out pretty good with that trade, and I think we did too. This is my thing. I thought about this after today's game, and I was looking at the third line, and I've been bitching about Timo Meir being on the third line, and then I'm kind of like, all right, if we're nowhere against putting him up with Hughes and Toffoli. If for whatever reason Lindy Ruff's not doing that, I kind of like it was Holtz for a while today with Meyer and Mercer. I think that line, if Mercer I think Mercer's a better winger than a centerman. But if Dawson Mercer can become a little bit of a better centerman, and I do think that Timo Meir and Holtz can benefit from playing on that line. But whatever we talked about it again, I bring up last night's show, but like we were talking about Timo, and I asked Bobby like, what's his role on this team? So I'll ask you guys, what is his role on this team? Does anybody know?
I kind of have an idea what it could be. Remember how Claude Lemieux, right? End of this. So Claude Lemieux, playoffs come, the guy steps it up, becomes a major force on the ice in several different ways, not only offensively, but in, obviously the toughness, the guy who annoys the shit out of you. He may be that guy. He may be.
That's what we need. But we need it not just in the playoffs. Like the dude's got to start really getting his game together, and I think he will. But I think more to the point of not just Timo, like this team is playing very good right now. They're winning in a bunch of different ways, and they're not even playing their best hockey. So how
is he
good
the biggest
can
disappointment
the
this
Devils
season for you? If not disappointment, like you can't really say. I'm not saying like, oh, I like Meyer. I mean, so I'm really have high hopes for him. I think he's going to come together.
Yeah, but you mean so far off the mark you set for him, right?
Yeah, if you look at the games we've played so far, what is it? 27, Chris? 28? I don't
26.
know where we're at. 26.
Yeah, I mean him or Bratt. Bratt's another one.
He's been playing well the last couple games.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, overall. Yeah, and also far from clutch, right? So this is like, I think that's a good thing you said, Tony. Like, what is his role? Well, you said what it could be, what it should be, and you're on the right track, I think, and I think totally right when you say, wow, it would be great if he was like a Claude Lemieux kind of type, turns it on in the playoffs. But I think also like we expected more physicality out of him, and leading to production, power forward stuff, driving to the net. Goals that you either score or cause to be scored by, driving to the net with using that not only skill, but size and grit. And that I have not seen, not consistently enough, nowhere near that. I thought he was supposed to add a dimension of scoring to Devils that this team didn't have, in some ways, Jack, Jesper Bratt, even Nico to some extent. Nico's a little bit more hard nosed than those other two, but they score goals that are of a certain kind, and Meyer is supposed to bring us different kinds of goals. More of those hardworking power forward type goals.
Yeah, I mean the power forward thing, and you brought up Jesper Bratt and whether or not he's a disappointment or not. I don't think Jesper Bratt's a disappointment at all. And we go on about these times that he completely disappears, but then I was looking at when he's producing like he is right now. The guy produces it. Like he's actually on pace for close to 100 points this year.
It is sick because when he is on, he is on.
Like if we have, when he's
so
on,
night and day with him.
And we needed him to produce right now when we were feeling a little rough the last few weeks. This is when we needed him to do this.
He did. We needed him to come through, and now he's back, right? So that's great.
And Timo Meir was, again, the power forward that we traded for, the guy that is supposed to get under team skin, like you mentioned, supposed to piss people off and just be a pain in the ass to play against. That's, I'm fine if the guy's not a 40-goal scorer with the Devils. Like, I'm fine with that. But be a pain in the ass to play against. Don't be easy to play against. And he's been easy to fucking play against. And I just think Timo Meir, whatever's going on with his head, maybe he is just a guy that, I think I mentioned this at another time. Like, he is just a guy that maybe needs consistency, and he doesn't get that on this team. And
do you think the way the playoffs shook down last year had any effect on him? Because remember what happened. He, in a way, was like almost trying too hard and got himself in penalty trouble in the playoffs, and it really kind of took himself out of the game. And out of, so like I was just wondering.
I don't see that from Timo. I saw that from Miles Wood.
Well, definitely Miles Wood, but
Timo had a great series against the Rangers until he got leveled by Trouba.
Right. But I felt like maybe he kind of had a lot less production in the subsequent series.
He had Carolina. No points. Like he
right,
did, yes,
right. And I think maybe it was game one where he got penalty from that, and he was like almost like benched for part of that game.
Yes, he was. You're right.
I'm just saying like that. Now. Honestly, has he left that moment in a way? Does he have a problem with knowing his role on this team? The way that whole thing went down, I don't know. I don't know. And if I do, we do question the coaching sometimes. Like, are we getting enough from Meyer from a coaching staff?
Is he being put in the best position for himself?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call. I'm not even saying it is or isn't, but it's possible that it has something to do with the coaching, or at least let's just say knowing his role on this team.
Right. Now, we have a lot to get to. So we still got to do our predictions and stuff. But we'll give a shout out real quick to our Hockey Podcast Network sponsor over here, DraftKings Sportsbook, which if you bet on the over-under for the Devils game today was 6.5 and you took the under, you were in good shape. And all you have to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's code THPN only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/hockey for eligibility, deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. NHL and the NHL Shield are registered trademarks of the National Hockey League. Copyright NHL 2023. All rights reserved. Thank you, DraftKings.
Yay.
All right. So let's do our accountability session from last week, boys. Our pucker predictions. All right. So accountability. I will do my 3. I said that the Devils. Why did I pick this stupid ass fuck? I know why, because I was pissed off after the Shark game. I said that the Devils will be shut out against Vancouver. I was dead wrong on that because it was 11 total goals, 6 by us. I said a new goalie will be on the main roster by this time today. I was wrong. I said that Nico Hischier will have a shorthanded goal against the Flames. I was wrong. Tony, let's do your accountability.
I don't remember what I did, but I know it's bad.
I never remember what I did.
You said that Tyler Toffoli will have 2 goals over the next 3 games. You said that Jack Hughes will have 4 goals over the next 3 games.
You would think that was an easy one.
You did come back and say that Jesper Bratt will have exactly 2 assists. Jesper Bratt had 2 goals.
I feel like that's a hat trick.
He had 2 goals and exactly 2 assists.
Well, yeah,
I'm going to
2 goals
don't
matter.
Dan
he called exactly.
Yeah.
You should have called for it. But
yeah, you can't call for it now.
But I think it was a hat trick because you said exactly, and that's so much easier than making those safer bets, which
Yeah, I don't know why you
Sometimes
didn't call
make more
for a hat
sense.
trick, but you came back strong. You got yourself a point. That puts you tied with first place. Real quick here, Bobby said the Devils will get 4 out of 6 points this weekend. They got 6 out of 6. Thank you.
You sure he said exactly?
He said
4.
Yes. Devils will get
right.
4 out of 6 points. He said that Nico Hischier will have a shorthanded goal. Because I was going for the steal with the Calgary one. And he said that Nemec will have 3 points over the next 3 games.
That was close, though.
You know what this teaches me? Always bet against Bobby. I could have got an easy point there by going to Bobby.
Yeah, you were going to do that
points this week.
I know. You didn't this week. You screwed up.
Now,
damn it.
You went off script.
Dan, your accountability session.
Yeah, I have an issue with mine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, you said that the Devils will get 2 out of 6 points.
Okay, just so you know, I think what I said was the Devils will have at least 2. I don't think I would ever pin myself to it exactly on that one. But if that's what you got written down, that's what you got written down.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I'll do.
I have no energy to look on the tape.
Well, that's what I'll do, but not right now. So right now,
don't even bother.
You're wrong. But I will go back and listen, and we will see exactly what you said. And if you did say that, then I'll give you the points. You said that the Devils. You said the Devils will have a shutout.
Yeah, I have to stick betting that, even though I know it's not going to happen. Thank God we came close. I mean, Schmid, that was probably a safer bet for the way I was feeling positive about the turnaround in the goaltending. Like to move down to a 1-goal game, that would be smart, but I didn't say that.
Then you also said that the aforementioned Timo Meir will have 3 or more points.
So wrong.
So that's it, Tony. You are the only person to get anything correct in this week's predictions, which puts you tied with me for first place with 7 points.
I feel like Bobby might have said it didn't say exactly either. If you're going to go look at tape, look at Bobby too, because I'm fair.
I'll listen to the whole thing.
I think that you got to ask him. He might remember, he might not. I don't know if I would have guessed exact points. I think it's so safer to go at least, because then you look like you got it, and even if you're like in the middle.
Well, I mean, I write down what you guys say, and we actually, we mention it like, when I'm writing it down, I usually say what I'm writing down, so it's a possibility, yes, that you said that, and I didn't write it down.
You never know.
Not likely, but a possibility.
It's probably more likely that I misremember this.
Well, we'll find out because I'll go back to read the tape. But right now, we have to do our predictions for the upcoming games, which are tomorrow's super exciting Edmonton Oilers game, Wednesday night against the Boston Bruins, and then Saturday night against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Those are our 3 games for the week, guys. 3 predictions each of us get to make about the show or about hockey in general or about these 3 games.
Did Bobby make his predictions already to you?
Bobby.
Welcome to the world of tomorrow.
Is that Bobby in his predictions?
Hey, Bobby.
Bobby.
Haven't you ever heard of a little thing called showmanship?
This is the show on drugs.
Welcome to the world of...
That's still going.
Bobby.
Let me see here. Bobby.
Be repetitive, Bobby.
I do have Bobby's prediction.
Tourette's. Bobby with Tourette's.
All right, Bobby's first prediction. Well, I'll do all Bobby's predictions real quick here, so we'll write them down. All right, his first one was said that McDavid will get at least 2 points tomorrow against us. All right, he also said there will be 1 game that we give up at least 4 goals.
Bob's a real negative Nancy this go around.
Yeah, but I think he's going with those. There's a pretty secure little bets he took there in a way. I wouldn't
really.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Boston game. We'll wait till I make my predictions.
And his words, not mine. His third and final prediction: Timo Meir will get a fucking goal.
Okay.
So those are Bobby's 3 predictions. Gotcha. I don't think any of those are hat tricks. All right, and let's go to you, Tony. What's your first prediction?
4 out of 6 points.
Exactly? Is that your bet?
You're saying exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to say 4 out of 6 points exactly, yeah.
And you're saying they're going to
Well, he doesn't have to lose 1 game. He can...
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Get 1 win and 2 ties.
Right.
Well, 2 overtime
losses. All right, Dan, what is your first prediction?
They'll get at least 3 points out of this stint.
They'll get at least 3? 3 or more?
So, yes. At least 3 definitely implies 3 or more.
Or more points. this week.
Mhm.
Okay. My first prediction is that Pavel Zacha will have a power play goal against us in Boston.
I like it.
Is that
I
a
like
hat
it.
trick?
Call the side of the ice, and we'll make it a hat trick. Left or right side?
I'll say the second period then.
There you go.
Okay,
That-
all
that
right,
makes
definitely.
it
I'll give you a hat
legit.
trick for that. Power play goal in the second period, Zacha. That's a hat trick. You got even like 3 conditions, which is
That's
great.
big. Yeah. All right. Tony, your second prediction.
Luke Hughes will have 3 points.
Exactly 3 points or 3 or more?
So if I say exactly, do I get a hat trick for that, or is it?
I'll give you a hat trick for that one.
Okay, I'll say exactly then. Why not?
All right. Dan, what's your second
Hope springs
prediction?
eternal. The Devils will get a shutout. Not be shut out, but get a shutout.
Devils will get a shutout. All right.
Finally.
My second prediction is I'm going for a steal. The Devils will shut out the Columbus Blue Jackets
Nice.
or the Bugs.
The Bucks.
Tony, your third and final prediction.
The Devils will not get a shutout in the next 3 games.
All right.
All right.
Dan, your
I have to-
third and final prediction.
Yeah, so I have to re-steal this point. So in that shutout,
Yeah.
the Devils will score 2 or more goals. And that will bring it back home to me.
You think that that's a steal? See, I think a steal would
steal.
be you call the goalie that's going to get the shutout. To me, that's a steal.
Well, there's a lot
Keep
of crazy things I could.
But you're
I could
just
say.
saying something completely different about the
The
we're
shutout.
keeping
That's
with
what
the
you did.
goaltenders.
I said a shutout. You said it's going to be
I just
against
said
this
which,
team.
against which team. I'm
Right.
just arguing the
And I
point.
say in that game, the Devils will score. at
All right, I'll
least
give you
2
that
goals.
one. So you're going to go for a reverse steal. Devils will score.
Yeah, I got to do the reverse Uno because you know what? I got the button and I got the last move there, so it's the only way to bring
I
it
still
back
have
home.
one more.
Oh, okay.
I still have one
So
more
now you have
to
to
go.
call an increasingly crazy thing now.
Well, what are you
to get
saying?
it back home
They'll
again.
score 4 or more? Is that what you said?
No, 2 or more.
2. Oh, Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
2 or more.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
You and Bobby picked some safe bets
I know,
this week.
some fucking check down Charlies over here.
And I'm still losing this game. Go figure. It's the shutout bet. Every week I bet they're going to get a shutout, and they never do. I hope this week it comes home and I get I got to do the math on these steals. If
Yeah,
it's a
but
steal
2
and a
or
re-steal,
more
is that
goals
extra
is
point?
such bullshit.
Yeah, is it?
It is.
I
To
mean,
go
I
for
I got
a
to do the video
steal-
review with Chris and say,
To go
yeah.
for a double steal and then just take something
could be
chintzy
1-0.
like that.
It could be 1-0.
Why don't you
Alright,
pick
what
the
do you
goalie at
want me to
least?
do?
Pick
I
the
said I
goalie.
think you should pick the goalie. If you want to go for the double steal, you should
All right,
pick the
I will tell you
goalie.
this. Picking the goalie in this is way harder than picking the team they're going to get a shutout against.
Well,
Do you
not
understand what I mean?
really. If you could just
You
go
don't
with
think so?
how things are going,
That's
it's going to be
that's
the
Schmidt
team.
tomorrow.
That's a good
It'll
bet.
be Schmidt against Boston. It'll be Vanacek against
Pick how many saves, Dan, but
and-
just go
and-
like
and
20,
maybe
30.
Vanacek against Blue Jack. I said it's probably going to be Schmidt the way the games are working out this week. He might get all 3.
You got it. Fine. I'll pick Schmidt if that's what it takes. You got it.
And that's
Tell me what
Schmidt.
to pick. Tell me what to pick.
I just did.
I know. There you go. He's got it all set up there.
Are you calling shenanigans, Dan? I had
No, I
Tony on
think
my
this is-
side on this
This
one.
is great. I've done that.
Me and Chris are only
Played
enemies
chess, like-
tomorrow, and it's only for draft picks. So
I remember
It's
playing
so
chess
true.
as a kid once.
So
Like,
depressing. My third and final
tell the other
prediction.
person where to go.
Jack Hughes has been off the board for the last 2 games. My third and final prediction is that Jack Hughes will have more points than Connor McDavid tomorrow.
ooh.
All right, so guys, what do you give us?
I have a question for you, Chris. Actually,
sure.
speaking about tomorrow, because we have 2 games at the same time period. Tomorrow. I'm
I
double
know,
screening
I know.
it. I'm double screening it. You know,
I'm
I'm
not.
gonna be having the double screen. So where you going? Are you going?
Okay,
Well,
I'll tell
all
you.
honesty here. Get the lie detector test out.
No.
We're on the
I'm
Uncle Pucker
watching.
show.
I'm watching the Vikings live because I have to stream
Ah.
it through my thing because I can't tape it or anything. So I'm going to watch the Vikings live at 4. I'm taping the Oiler Devil game, and I'm going to watch that when I get home from
Makes
work
sense.
tomorrow. So from like 4 o'clock on, I have to be radio silent about hockey. We can text about the football game, but I can't text about the.
I hate
That's
to
what
say
sucks
it,
for
but it
me.
makes
I
way
can't
more
record.
sense. Like, it's so much harder to avoid football scores. They're everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah, everywhere on the bottom of the screen door and everything.
Yeah.
And the thing
I walk out at work and there's TVs everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's every game's on, so I can't not get a score. Of course, I'm going to find out what the Vikings did, but it'll be a little easier to wait on the Devils score. I don't
you
have
guys
any.
are so fucking lucky though to record the games. That's what kills me here. Like some of these games, I was actually lucky this week. All these 10 o'clock games for you guys. It's like I'm up feeding kids in the morning. It's like the games start for me. It's perfect. It's nice for me. But like I just would love to record some of these hockey games, these real late ones. But
Why don't you record them?
I can't do it the way. So Chris knows how So I have a link that I use to watch all the games. I sent it to Chris.
We're watching them illegally, so
we're basically booting them.
I understand that, but like your computer can record shit, dude. You could just set it up to do it. Yeah, Google Screen Capture. It'll just record the whole fucking game for me.
Record the whole game.
Oh wow, that could work.
I didn't even think about that.
The only thing you'll have to do is log into it and set it up, and then record it. Anything on a computer you can record. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, there you go. Problem
So I'm
solved.
gonna try to see that's going on. Yeah,
Give it a shot.
So, all right.
The only thing is, I think you'll have to set it up and be there for the beginning of the game or just before.
Because I remember when I used to get the NHL, when I used to actually pay for that, which was absolutely fucking awful. When I would get the games where you could watch I forget what it was, NHL, whatever.
Right,
it was always buffering, man. It was center ice. It was the worst bullshit ever. Like those games froze more than anything. It was just awful. The bootleg sites
because you got pretty good internet there, right?
Yeah. We have some of the best, they say.
For some reason, center ice just sucked over there for some reason.
Yeah, because the bootleg ones, I mean, Chris knows, you got to refresh once in a while, but there's pretty much get a good stream. You get like 4 different choices you can go to and all that crap. I mean,
they just built a huge, like 200-foot tall Verizon tower right next to my work. There was one there, so I got great connections. At work, even on my data, I would just turn off the Wi-Fi because the Wi-Fi was spotty at work, and I would just use the data. They tore it down, and it was about 6-7 weeks until they put the new one up, and I had zero service at work.
Yeah, you're on the barrier island. It's tough. If you don't have a tower there, it's nothing.
They put a 250-foot tower up. I can be like down the basement, and I get perfect data.
That's
it's awesome. So the Viking games that I've been streaming there, I've had zero issues. I had a ton of issues earlier, but now with this new tower, man, it's a perfect feed. It's maybe it's like 30-second delayed, the actual live broadcast, but other than that, it's perfect. So.
And you can get different feeds, and I wasn't on the last show, but man, these ESPN, I hate to beat a dead horse, but these ESPN feeds, because I had to watch the Devils game against Seattle on that feed.
The broadcast team?
My God, it is painful to watch. I mean, it is like, just the commentary and some of the graphics. I don't know what they were doing on these boards during the game and stuff.
It's like, the ads on the boards?
Yeah, it's just getting.
Yeah, it seems like the ESPN, the national one, they have like the worst ads, even worse, which is unusual because usually the local.
Any local ones, like where even if we're playing in Vancouver, we're getting New Jersey shit on those. Which I agree with you. They're just distracting and they're terrible, and they need to get rid of them.
I hate the glass ads.
Yeah.
I hate them.
But it's I don't really notice the ESPN ones. I try not to even look at.
Sometimes they change them so fast too. Like they're constantly changing. It's like literally like. One play, they're coming down from one end of the ice to the other. It'll change like twice in that time.
And there's times where this happened last season, but didn't happen so much this year. But did you guys ever like watch a game and they'll flip the ad and it'll be in front of the player, and then it gets like pixelated, and then it finally it's like what the fuck, man? If you can't do this right, don't do it. I don't need a little Caesars logo popping over Jack Hughes when he's screeching down the right side.
It's horrible. I hate those ads.
But let's.
Did you guys hear the new rumor too about Stamkos? Huh? So Stamkos to Boston is the rumor I keep on hearing, that Boston is trying to land Stamkos, which is crazy because Tampa, I believe, is going to actually. He didn't play tonight, by the way. He was a scratch. Stammy.
Oh wow.
So, and I've always said,
sell-off time to breaking up the band.
And I have to say, living in Tampa for as many years as I did, I was not a Lightning fan, but I when you're around an organization, because I was around the Lightning team a lot, Steven Stamkos is an awesome guy. I'm surprised they're going to let him go. It's I feel bad for their fans because he is that pillar for that.
And you're going to let him go to Boston?
Yeah. Like they're trying to get him. I hear,
Atlantic Division rival. That's
what I'm hearing.
Who's getting Vasi? Is there a Vasi sweepstakes we could enter?
I don't think so. I'm surprised there's Stamkos, but I think he wants a deal, and they don't want to.
All these guys we've talked about. I mean, Vasi, he's the one to get. You guys want to we got to upgrade. John Gibson's out there, and even Hellebuck. And I get it; those are
Subban was talking about Gibson again the other night.
How about Vasilevsky? I mean, can you just imagine?
There's no way.
Honestly, I'll take him over Shesterkin in the playoffs. No way.
Tampa Bay would never get rid of Vasilevsky.
No, they got to be insane to do that. But it might come to a business point of view. Like if he's not going to stick around long term, and they want to get something. If they're really selling off this year, if
Stamkos he wants to stay for long term, and they don't want to give. They don't want to do that.
And also with Vasilevsky, that's a little risky right now. You're coming off a big injury. You're just coming back and starting to play. There's a couple of guys right now I would take over him. I get
it.
But I love the idea.
Playoffs. He's got so much great experience. He's been awesome. He's got the playoff, proven record that nobody has.
No doubt, he's amazing. But
at some point he's going to age out, and he's still young. But you're right, injuries make him questionable.
And I heard some rumors before Jacob Markstrom got hurt in Calgary that he was up for possible trade because of this kid Lyon they have, and then the other goalie, I forget his name, but he's supposed to be a younger goalie that they kind of want to run with, and I like that idea a lot. Jacob Markstrom is a good goalie. Whether or not I think he's going to be out for like a month, so that's probably not going to happen. But you know what? I mean, they got to figure. I think this week will be very telling because I kind of feel okay, like you said before, Dan. Like the team is really starting to figure it out. The goaltenders, the last two performances from these guys have been very good. Let's see if this is, when the defense does clean up, the goalies are doing better. Or
honestly, I'm leaning that way. I don't know that 100%.
Sure.
But I really feel like everybody's going to be like, I can't really justify giving up too much to upgrade our goaltending because it's been great. If the Devils are playing well enough for a better goaltender, these guys we do have, which have not shown themselves to be the better goaltenders in the league yet, might very well do so.
Well, that's the best case scenario. I mean, you want the guys that are in the building to be the solution. So absolutely. What do you guys expect for tomorrow's game, which I'm really looking forward to this Edmonton game. And now that Jack has been held off the board again, I just think this guy is going to be so ready for this Edmonton game tomorrow.
He's due, huh?
Yeah, he's
high scoring game, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I had said yesterday I see this being a 6-5 overtime win, and I can't tell you who's going to win them. Who's going to win it? It's whoever. Well, 6-5 overtime. It could be us. It could be them. I do think it's going to definitely go. It's going to be a hell of a game. I think that they're going to be able to score on us, but I think we're going to be able to score on them. So this is going to be fun.
6-5 can make sense. 6-4, 6-5, maybe empty netter at the end, but it's going to be an offensive game. It's going to be, the goalies are going to have to make a lot of saves, but I think it's definitely going to be a high offensive game.
Yeah. What about you, Dan?
I'm going to take a little different aspect. I think the Devils can contain
You're going for the shutout,
most
aren't
dangerous
you?
parts. No, I don't know about that. But I was thinking that we could hold them to 2 goals. I think it's very possible.
Wow,
we can
that'd
hold
be
them
great,
2 goals.
right?
And I would love to see us win like maybe a 5-2 game where we're getting an empty netter in there or something like that. We're mostly in control. I think it's very possible. And it might be a best case scenario. That maybe I don't have, a lot of, reason to believe they'll be that strong coming off, these 3 wins that they're due to lose, and Edmonton's dangerous, but I don't know. I could totally see it happening, so I'm going to stick with it.
I hope you're right. Edmonton's won 6 in a row now. They're really heating up. Stuart Skinner, I think, has like a 9-7 save percentage over his last few games. They're playing so much better, and I do think it's going to be wide open. I hope it's a 5-2 Devil win. That'd be amazing. If you can hold Connor McDavid and those guys to
it would really tell you that the defensive problems are way more solved than we were worried about last week. Yeah.
So all right. Anything
Chris,
else?
One
you guys?
more. Yeah. What about tomorrow night, man?
Oh,
let's
the football game.
We don't have to get too much into it, but let's just say, what's your? I mean, like, I have no. I'm totally it can go either way. Dobbs, I obviously threw 4 interceptions last week, so I have a little hope there that we can, deal with that a little bit. But I'm 50-50. What are you thinking tomorrow night?
All right,
Raiders and Vikings for those who are listening.
my realistic idea, I do think Brian Flores and the Minnesota defense is going to get under Aiden O'Connell's skin. I think they're going to force him to make a few mistakes.
Which can happen.
But Aiden O'Connell and Devontae Adams are starting to get a little bit chemistry, so that kind of worries me a little bit. I think that the Raiders are going to be able to score some points. I think if the Vikings can keep Crosby at bay and not let him wreck the game, I'm going to say if Kevin O'Connell, coach of the Vikings, puts together a game plan where he actually utilizes Josh Dobbs' strengths, like have some RPOs, have some runs baked in there, and with Justin Jefferson coming back, I think Minnesota is a little bit of a better team. I'm going to say the Vikings win a tough game, maybe 17-14, that kind of thing, 17-16. Yeah. I think it's going to be. I think the spread is like 3.5. I think the Vikings are favored. I'll say Vikings win, Raiders cover. I think
Raiders beat themselves tomorrow night at the end of the game. Is how I'm thinking it's going to happen.
Minnesota can do that too.
Yeah, they could do that too. That's what I'm saying. It's such a weird, and you would love to have this with me and Chris. It would be great. We have this big football rivalry, but both of our teams are kind of like just disappointments this year, which I kind of expected.
This isn't a playoff game,
Yeah, it's not like for us, I think we have like a 5% chance, they said, to make the playoffs. Basically, the Raiders are a mess, but we're much better with Pierce than we were with McClown, in there. And so, I just think I think the Raiders will beat themselves tomorrow. Crosby is the man. I don't know if you guys saw. I know Chris would have seen his knee that he played with last week.
Dude,
the week before that,
this guy got
swollen like that.
Yeah,
the guy's a beast.
He is an animal. He's an animal, and he's a ton of fun to watch. But I think you're right. I think Minnesota has a solid chance right now of making the playoffs. They're like the 6th seed right now, so they're in if the playoffs started today. But they can't lose many more games. Maybe one if they really want to make it in, and that's only because the rest of the NFC is pretty much dog shit. But they're going to probably get in. They have really tough schedule ahead of them. But so before I say that I think they're going to make it, I want to see how they play tomorrow. That's the big thing. Like, you had a bye week, you did some self scouting, you should have had plenty of time to put together an offense that Josh Dobbs is comfortable with. But I do not trust Josh Dobbs. This whole, the Pasternaut and all this other shit. If he's the Pasternaut, he burned in on reentry. And I don't trust Josh Dobbs to keep the ball out of the Raiders' hands or any other opposition's hands.
That's what we're hoping for. That's as a Raider fan, we're hoping for the turnovers.
I sit there and I'm just watching this guy like against the Bears, and I'm like, you're an astrophysicist, and you were so stupid to throw that fucking ball. How could somebody so smart be so dumb sometimes? That whole thing. But I'm just.
Because the NFC, you got the Cowboys versus the Eagles, which is obviously a big thing for those guys. Yeah, who do you think's got that one?
Cowboys don't lose at home. I'm going with the Cowboys.
Yeah. I can't say you're wrong, so.
I'm going with the Cowboys.
Be interesting.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll text during the game. It'll be fun.
Of course.
But tomorrow, Edmonton, and then we have the Boston Bruins. 2 big games coming up on tap, boys. This is really going to, let's go and win these next few. Let's go on a tear, man. I feel like the team is on the precipice of doing that. They're really clicking. I love the way Shimon Nemec is fitting in.
Playing so well.
And I just, everything about this team right now, how they play, this is the style I want to see them play. I love these running gun 6-5 games, but I'm much more comfortable watching a 4-2 workman-like kind of game. Clock in, do your job, and go home.
And they were saying the other night that Michael McLeod is the #1 faceoff guy in the NHL. That's, it's pretty amazing.
It's great because he had a great year last year, and then he didn't start off so well. He really didn't. Yeah. So, but he's definitely turned it on, getting those.
I'd love to see Bastian turn it on. Actually, to be honest, I'd like to see Bastian, kind of get back out there a little bit more.
Back in the lineup today. Yeah. I thought he played okay. I was glad that Brendan Smith wasn't in the lineup today.
That penalty got him last time. That was it.
Yeah, the penalty got him against the Kraken. That was it. I think Lindy Ruff is starting to, keep him on a little bit of a shorter leash.
It's going to be hard winning those 1-goal games with that kind of lack of discipline. Yeah. That's where those kill you. And you can't expect to outscore your opponent by, and put 4 or 5 on the board every night. You can't do that.
And the good teams don't take those penalties. The good teams shut it down. They are disciplined, and
the
they get out with a
timeliness of
W.
him too. He'll take the bad penalty the worst possible time. We saw that bitiness in ass at a couple games ago, as well as even before that. He gave up. We had a win in the books basically.
Yeah, against the Flyers.
And then he takes that retaliation penalty, and
gets himself suspended, puts us already on a penalty kill, puts us on a 6-on-3 disadvantage because they pulled the goalie at the time. Then again, the slash, the suspension, all that comes with it. Like, you not only did you do all that, you did all that against a division rival and gave them a point. Oh yeah, they're ahead of us in the fucking standings.
And it's the worst time in the game for that too.
Yeah,
like it literally was.
So he makes some bonehead plays, but I wouldn't be shocked if the lineup stays exactly the same for tomorrow and he's not in the lineup. I
kind of hope so, because sometimes Lindy, I feel like he sees a player positively and nothing they can do to make him see him negative.
I think the opponent. I think you're right about that, 100%, Dan. Totally, right. But I also think that the opponent dictates a little bit of where Smith plays. I think that's a good maybe point. In Boston you might see him. Tomorrow, I don't know if we need to have him in there against.
Because to his credit, he brings the grit, and we know we need the grit. It's just that that grit can't cost you in such crucial situations, or it's just not worth it.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So,
and one thing before we go, guys. You guys see those Utica jerseys? They're beautiful.
No, I didn't.
Oh man, look, Chris, you have your phone on. You look at the Twitter really fast before we disconnect here. Look at our Twitter. The Utica. I mean, I'm hoping that we wear something like this year because I think they're fucking awesome.
The Rangers just unveiled their third jersey, which they're playing tomorrow. They're wearing tomorrow.
You scroll down ours, I think it's like 2 days ago, which is not that many. It's obviously the highlights from tonight are on there, but you'll see these jerseys are. I mean, they're the black red. They're nice, huh?
I wouldn't. So yeah, they're black and red with the.
And look on the shoulder blades. I don't know if you can see. There's devil logos on the shoulder blades.
There is.
Yeah, there's black patches on the shoulder blades, which you might not be able to see in that photo.
No, not in that photo, but it's a beautiful picture, and this is a lot like what they are saying our retros are.
That's what we're hoping, yeah.
Stadium Series jerseys are going to look like. I'll put it in front of the camera so Dan can see it. But it's on our Twitter feed, so if any of you guys want to hop on,
they go on sale Monday at the Utica store. So they're beautiful jerseys, though.
I want to get a sweatshirt with that.
I could just imagine how cool they look with the NJ logo.
Yeah, they're pretty sharp. But
now what's the deal? Do you think we'll get something like that for the stadium?
As long as Marty doesn't design it.
And doesn't write stadium jersey on it.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be out. I would guess relatively soon. I mean, the game's in February. I'm like Tony had mentioned about wanting to get these out for the holidays. I would have thought. I would agree with that. I would have thought that they would have put them out by now.
I haven't seen the Ranger ones. How are those ones? I haven't seen them.
This isn't their Stadium Series. This is just their third jersey that they're wearing for like a dozen games or so this year. It's I think it's the one with the
Liberty on the front of it.
That was Liberty had.
Yeah. And it's all blue. Let me see.
It looked like a practice jersey that when that first came out. I'm like, why is it all blue? It looks like a practice jersey to me. It has no striping at all.
Yeah, they unveiled it today. Oh no, it's not. It has the shield. Is the crest like the New York Rangers shield?
Okay.
No. It's
boring logo.
So just their logo on the crest, and it's got just red, white, and blue colors, stripes.
They look like an unimaginative police department. That logo, it's horrible.
Like this is their third jersey. If you can,
even the Rochester Americans has a better crest. It's like got the whole Captain America vibe.
Right.
The Rangers one is just like completely boring. I've never liked it.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I didn't. The Liberty one, I understood. I was like, okay, if you're a Ranger fan, the Liberty head is probably like those ones that Chris just showed me. That's not surprised. I guess I just hope the Devils, like I said, even those black ones with the jersey on the front of them. I mean, if they would have just had a logo on there, I just don't understand. I still don't understand it because I own one of those jerseys. Like, I don't understand. Like, how do you not put the Devils logo on it?
They kind of grow on me though. I kind of like them now. I'm kind of like,
cool. I don't know if I wanted it as like the first black one. I don't mind it in the rotation somewhere. It's got kind of an old school vibe, and I'm really trying hard to like it, to be honest with you. But I feel like there's a better black out there for us.
No doubt. And I think the Stadium Series might be it. We're going to wrap it up tonight. So wherever you guys are checking us out, please give us a 5-star review, a positive rating, a a comment. It goes a long way to help us promote the show. Also, please check out the Tampa Morgue, which is Tony's other podcast, which he does, which is more about heavy metal music and horror movies. It's a ton of fun. I listened to a few episodes. I really like it. Be sure to please check that out.
I got to send Chris a check for saying this after the show.
Yeah, it better be in the mail. And just so you were talking about the Liberty Head jerseys, I just have to say, geographically, like as far as borders go,
exactly,
the Statue of Liberty is in New Jersey, so it shouldn't be on their fucking jersey at all.
So what if we took that Liberty Head and put horns on it?
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
We demonize the Statue of Liberty.
Turn it
all
into
about
a devil.
demonizing,
I like
demonizing
that.
shit.
Yeah, I like it. So for Tony and Dan, I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers. We'll see you when we see you. Let's go, Devils.
Peace. Let's go Raiders.
Bye-byes.
Bye, Bobby.
Peace.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
It is over.